Good morning. It's 1 September and I'm doing this video from Fort Montgomery, New York. Fort Montgomery, New York today is a cute little town right on the west banks of the Hudson River. And you can see behind me is the Hudson River, and there's the bridge, which is the Bear Mountain Bridge I crossed and showed you the video yesterday afternoon. And currently though, it's during Tropical Storm Ida, so I'm staying at a motel in Fort Montgomery to avoid the storm. So ironically, I came out in the storm to see the historical site of Fort Montgomery, which I'm at now. This is the Interpretive Center, and I just walked around the grounds of the ruins of Fort Montgomery. So Fort Montgomery was built by the Continental Army. It's one of the only fortifications really they built, or the main one they built, in 1776. And it's in this key part of the Hudson River. So again, it's a little bit north of New York City. Of course, it's well south of Albany. And the intent of the fort was to keep the British from coming up the river. So they controlled New York City, but they didn't control Albany or anywhere else in upstate New York. So they built this fort in 1776, and they actually built a chain across the Hudson River to keep British ships from going up the river. So it's a pretty impressive little thing. They hadn't quite finished the fort when in 1777, the British strategically wanted to cut off New England, which they viewed as the troublemakers in the Revolution, from the rest of the colonies. So they sent a large force. Actually, they triangulated. If you look at the map I show you, from the north, south, and west on New York to take it back, to break up, to basically meld New York with Canada, cut off New England and the rest of the colonies, and basically control North America. So they sent their largest force was under the command of General Burgoyne, coming from the north, from Canada. And that was the force that was coming down to take Albany and then link it up with New York City. But they also General Burgoyne sent a little force from the west, and then the next force was going to be General Clinton from the south, from here, New York City, coming north. So General Clinton's first task, though, was to take out this fort. So they came up with their ships from the ocean and their land forces, along with some loyalists, some American loyalists, and the Battle of the Battle of Fort Montgomery. There was a Fort Clinton too, which is right across this little channel here, were both American forts that they built to sort of secure this area. It was a multi-phase battle. There's a good-sized yacht. You probably can't see it going out down the Hudson River there. But between the British Navy and the British and American Royal Forces, they took Fort Montgomery. And so the Americans withdrew. Many were killed, but many were able to escape from the fort. And the fort was completely destroyed. The British blew up the gunpowder, burned it to the ground, destroyed it, and so forth. But and then General Clinton started to head north to go to meet with General Burgoyne, so they could link up and make sure they take Albany and secure their plan of capturing New York. Unfortunately, the day after the Battle of Fort Montgomery, the Americans beat the British in the Battle of Saratoga, which is just north of Albany. General Burgoyne, he had the largest force of all of this, coming from Canada, met increasing resistance, and then was finally slowed down, stopped, defeated, and then surrounded and captured by the Americans. They actually brought him through Western Massachusetts. They held him there on his way to prison through Massachusetts, through Route 20. So the Americans had, even though the British had a tactical victory here at Fort Montgomery, they had a strategic loss up at Saratoga. And so Clinton was then, when he heard that, was ordered to come back and consolidate his forces in New York City. So basically, when all was said and done, the British were back hunkered down in New York City, and the Continental Army controlled from New England through New York all the way through the colonies. And there was active fighting going on throughout the rest of the colonies as well. So anyway, it's a rainy tropical storm day, Tropical Storm Ida. I'm going to go back to the motel here. But I wanted to share that with you. It's a great site right here off the Appalachian Trail on the Hudson River. All right. Have a great day, everybody.